Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast in Game 3 in this best of 3 series from between Fnatic Sen and SlayerSBoxer here on Crevasse. This game is a couple months old and it's almost looking like looking at StarCraft through a time machine. A lot of the strategies that are employed, a lot of the skills and a lot of the tactics that the player use are a little bit dated, and the responses are also a little bit dated as well. So it's nice to see a game that is a little bit older with a more developed eyes and see what the players could have done, and perhaps see how they will change their gameplay in the future. Anyways, Boxer currently spawning here at the 10 o'clock location as the blue Terran player. Meanwhile, over here on the bottom left-hand side of the map, we see Sen spawning as the red Zerg. Zerg versus Terran here on Crevasse. Taking a look over here, wow, this expansion over here on the high ground is a full expansion. So this is definitely going to be a map that favors Zerg. It's not that three-quarter expansion or half expansion that we see otherwise. And also the rocks on the front door is one very narrow ramp with destructible rocks leading right outside this base as well. So this is in fact very interesting, as we now see a proxy barracks being set up here on the high ground in the center portion of the map. This is exactly where a Boxer wants to set this up. With this ramp here, he should be able to, or with these barracks here, he should be able to essentially deploy those Marines anywhere in the middle of the map, very, very quickly. Sen now setting up that hatchery up on that high ground, going for a 15 hatch. Meanwhile, he should be perhaps seeing a spawning pool come in as well. We are now training up another drone, and I believe Sen's build order during this time of StarCraft 2 was a hatchery followed by a spawning pool. Oh no, going for an extractor now. So going for an extractor, he may be getting up a spawning pool as well, getting into 16/18. A very greedy build, and we'll see whether or not Boxer will be able to fend off this, or will be able to lay down enough pressure. Sen's build is very economically strong, but it may not have enough units to fend off a lot of these Marines. There is, however, a rather narrow choke point in order to try to defend, as an SCB now will simply walk up that ramp now. We are going to have 3 Marines up in just a moment. That spawning pool about 40 seconds away from being completed, and now an SCB may try to set up a bunker. Is he actually going to set up a bunker? No, he's going to scout out the extractor and perhaps scout out that high ground as well. That is going to be important, to scout that high ground. He will come up there, see that there is a hatchery already coming into play, and then make his way back down, perhaps setting up a bunker. A bunker right here would have been very strong. No, a bunker being placed down here, as a Marine now coming to engage. A Marine now will be able to shut down that drone rather quickly, as now another SCV comes in. So it is going to be 2 SCVs, 3 SCVs versus 2 drones. It doesn't look like Sen will really be able to respond to this in time, as drones now coming off the mineral line in order to try to fight back. Perhaps we're going to get a surround onto that one particular low hit point SCV there, as a second bunker now being placed down as well. Boxer doing a good job shutting down some of those drones. Drones are getting destroyed rather quickly. Zerg is now trying to finally come into play, and will they be able to fend off against any more Marines coming in? That one bunker was canceled. It looks like this bunker will get salvaged as well. So Boxer gets the bunker, but doesn't really deal any damage with it at all. So Sen buying himself just enough time. You can see 10 drones versus 16 SCVs now. Sen is behind at this stage. We'll see if he can power drone his way back into this game. 1 queen on the low ground. That high ground is only producing larvae, and that is it. Boxer now has a large number of Marines in midfield. 9 Marines, I believe. There are currently just 7 here, and now the Zergans may be able to get off a surround and a swarm here. The Marines unable to use that stutter step, trying to maximize that distance, and Boxer going to get cleaned up with all of these Zerglings by Sen. The Zerglings do not even have that metabolic boost, but able to close in on that gap as they are moving rather quickly. The barracks are now being lifted off as well. It looks as though Sen does see that there is a supply depot here, and will he perhaps place down a bunker here in order to fend off this attack, or perhaps place a command center? He needs to do something rather drastic. There's that bunker now. 1 Marine on each side, as those Zergans are going to be swarming in. And is it going to be enough? We need to get some SCVs. Otherwise, this is going to become a really problematic, as you can see that the Zerglings, not focusing onto the supply depot. And I think if he had actually focused down the supply depots, he would have been able to take them down. Zerglings now swarming and getting some damage onto these barracks. The barracks are just going to lift off very, very quickly. No, not lifting off at all. The Marines making their way down a very, very small, narrow walking point. Is there actually enough room? Yes, I believe there is enough room in between these two barracks for Zerglings to run by. But they would go in a single file line, and that is not what you want to do. You do never want to engage against Marines or any other range unit for that matter if you are fighting in a single file line like that. A supply depot now being added to finish off this wall-in attempt. A command center already upgraded to an orbital command. Boxer now sitting on 23 SCVs compared to 27. So Sen catching up and now surpassing his opponent in the economic lead. This expansion over here on the high ground, very, very strong for a Zerg player, as Sen making sure to stay up on top of his spawn larva. It looks like he will just be able to power drone his way into the mid game, as he should be able to get somewhere around 40 drones in the next minute or so. Zerglings still hiding off down on that low ground. There are a lot of Marines here. No Banelings that's now coming online. There is a bunker a little bit further back and now going into another barracks. We are getting a tech lab and a starport, not reactoring any medevac, so that is a bit of a surprise, as we do not see a tech lab down or a reactor. Without a tech lab or a reactor, we are not going to have double training Marines, and we are not going to have stim pack or a combat shield. Boxer is going to have a very difficult time trying to deal with those Banelings, as even with very, very strong Marine split, Banelings fighting on creep do move very quickly, and also Banelings with that movement speed upgrade able to run into those Marines very quickly as well. We should be teching to tier 2 at some point. You can still see Sen currently supply blocked, or now supply block at 67 over 68, unable to train in that many more units, but there are going to be a lot of units morphing in over here. It looks to me, though, that Boxer is in a very, very strong defensive posture. He is getting siege tech as well. That siege tank should be able to just guard this ramp choke point, blast away at those Banelings before any damage is truly dealt. And now in come the Zerglings. The Banelings now going to simply walk through if they're going to able to splash damage right here in between these two barracks. Both barracks destroyed. Supply depot is now up. This barracks will get taken down. And wow, nicely done here. That barracks is going to try to lift off, but it will not be able to fly over and get there in time at all. We are getting now 4 more barracks. Those Banelings, though, doing a very, very bad trade. 1,500 resources lost by Sen versus 1,050. Now, let's see what Sen tries to transition into. He is going into tier 2, getting more gas. We perhaps could be seeing a transition into Mutalisk. Meanwhile, Boxer going into a lot more barracks. He is getting stim pack, and he may be getting combat shield right behind it. He is getting a medevac as well. He's running off of two bases, but he's only really training up Marines and tanks. I think he can add a reactor and double train those medevacs if he wanted to. Overlords are in position for Sen to catch this dropship as it's coming in along the left side. The Zerglings being more than ready to and more than welcome to receiving this one dropship. I do not believe Boxer is going to get any true damage in, as that Queen now comes over, and yeah, those Marines deciding to turn around, the medevac pilot deciding to turn around, being very smart to not engage at this time, perhaps finding a separate location instead. We are now going into tech lab, so a lot more tech labs now coming online. Marauders will be coming in. Marauders are going to be very strong against those Banelings, but we are seeing a Spire as well, so it needs to be a nice balance of Marauders and Marines. Level 1 weapons upgrades I do not have been started at all. No engineering bay that I can spot, as we are now going into a command center. And what was this? Oh, now going into reactors. He realizes that he needs to get reactors and not actually get so many tech labs. Getting another reactor here, and what is this barracks gonna do? There's just a barracks floating off in the air. It needs to build another building, another add-on in order to train up more units. Those tech labs will simply just sit there for quite some time. Marines, and siege tanks, and Marines with medevacs attempting to roll out these destructible rocks may get taken down here. These rocks do have 3 armor on this particular version, and they'll be able to put in and now close in the distance between these two bases. You can see, what is this, another siege tank being added? Is there a barracks? Another barracks adding another reactor over here, simply shutting down this tech lab from being able to build any building adding on there. Siege tanks now rolling forward. The Siege Tanks do not have weapons upgrade. The Marines now trying to stim, perhaps going to clean up a lot of these Creep Tumors. Oh, that Creep Tumor down to 2 hit points and still staying alive as the Siege Tanks need to roll forward. The Siege Tanks playing that hopscotch. Will they be able to get into position is the key critical question. And as the Marines are now trying to split up, one Baneling down, a Queen now getting taken down as well. The Banelings need to really find their target, and I think Boxer has a deep enough siege line so that these Banelings will not be able to find their target. But then in come the Mutalisks. The Mutalisks now coming in from the far side. They're all going to try to group together. Mutalisks and Marines now trying to fight back against those Mutalisks. The Siege Tanks, however, detonating many of those Banelings, and the Marines need to be very, very careful. Once again, cleaning up all of those Banelings, so nicely done by Boxer. But Boxer now being forced to handle the Mutalisks that are still in the air. It looks like it will be able to. And Sen, with really no serious army at all, 1 Siege Tank down to 2 hit points left over, as the Mutalisks are now going to finish off perhaps that Siege Tank there. More units are coming back in. More reinforcements, no repairing coming in at all. You can see that this Overlord will get shut down here. The Mutalisks hiding back over here once again, perhaps trying to figure out what the long-term goal is. This Siege Tank desperately needs to get repaired as it is rather low on hit points. Medevacs level 1 weapons upgrades now being completed by Boxer, so perhaps I missed an engineering bay earlier, as the Marines are still pushing down, putting pressure here at the low ground third base. Drones attempting to run away, but the file of so many units coming in from the north may be too much. Zerglings and Mutalisks perhaps going to try to do a bit of intercept here and now shut down some of those Marines. These units seem to be just floating in that position there. 1925 versus 3800 in terms of minerals. The Mutalisks getting torn apart. Banelings not finding their Marine targets, and now those Marines are going to be able to perhaps shut down the rest of these Mutalisks here. The Mutalisks trying to run away. It doesn't look like it is all that successful, as the Marines are still being added and added. Boxer now with a chokehold on Sen. Sen running off of 2 bases. Mutalisks trying to figure out what they can do, trying to take down those Siege Tanks so that those Banelings can find their target. You can see Boxer here calling in a lot of mules here. So a lot of mules, no gas at this gold mineral. And what this means is that a lot more Marines are going to be trained. There is a lot of reactors, 4 reactors, 8 Marines can be trained at a time, trying to shut down this orbital command. But it looks like the Marines will be able to make their way over. And now Boxer slowly pushing his way up that ramp. Level 1 weapons upgrade looks like it will be completed. No, it's not going to be completed at all, as the Marine just stimming after that and able to shut it down. Zergling's now trying to swarm. It looks like no Banelings at all, no Infestors. There is one Baneling in that group able to melt some of those Marines, but I believe a Siege Tank was able to focus it down, and there's the GG by Sen. Sen losing the SlayerSBoxer in Game 3 of this Best of 3 series after taking Game 1, falling behind the next 2 games. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Sen and Boxer here on Crevasse.